The Devblog's been dropped, and it'll be a weekly thing for now. So, subscribe so you can see a video recap of it rather than reading an entire book. As I'm sure you all know, last Oasis has been kind of a wasteland when it comes to an environment full of life. AI that lacks intelligence almost completely. Well, I guess their system didn't really support it yet due to a time constraint before the early access was released back in 2020. For Season 5, that'll change. They've reworked the systems to allow what I would call hotfixes. This means what would take weeks in several devs before, now takes a day or two with a couple of devs. I thought that was important to note, however, let's cover the fun stuff before we get into the technical, boring stuff. As we know from the Season 5 announcement, mobs are getting a massive overhaul. Not just in their behavior and tier of difficulty, more on that later, but they also reworked tech acquisition and progression in general to be vitally focused on mobs. For example, Rupu, Femk, and the likes have new twists along with their behavior changes. They'll be tied to you unlocking lockers. Even hunting a Femk will lead to unlocking a locker apparently. This will be made more clear in future devblogs, but this is exciting to know for now, to say the least. More on what we do know, creatures will have two important groups. The wild ones that roam the Oasis, or guard their lairs that'll have special resources. And there's battle mobs. Battle mobs will be equipped with their own battle rigs and intended to put up a fight against a player while they're on their walker. These tough boys will be tankier than the wild counterpart, have a variety of siege weapons to use against you, and a different AI and aggro system that fits walker combat. These mobs will be Rupu tribes that have tamed one of the new creatures coming to Last Oasis, the Koa. I say new loosely because if you're a seasoned nomad, you'll recognize it from early on in the game's release. Or if you've been to a private server that has spawned these in, you'll recognize it. So it's not technically new, but it's new. Either way, it'll be in Season 5 and you'll find these guys by lakes. Or they'll be mounted with big and small warhaudas on their backs, equipped with a variety of siege weapons and armor plating. Smaller ones will have personal short-range weapons like javelins, whereas larger ones will have large weaponry, such as a catapult. We got Walker PVE, boy. Speaking of PVE, let's talk about one of the bigger contributors to the update, the mountain crawler. The devs want to liven up the biomes, make it so it seems befitting that the creatures actually live there. So you see Occam at the center of the clay maps, or over in the spire tiles. You see Killen only on the lava maps and the spire tiles, so on and so forth. So, the center of the spire tile's been kind of an empty void. What's to fill that void? The mountain crawler. There will be two variations to this creature. The lower tier will be found on the outskirts of the map. You'll see these rocks about the size of a stiletto, traveling around in packs of 2 or 3. The crawlers themselves aren't territorial, but the Rupu who have carved out a home in its carapace are. So if you happen to get too close, they'll engage. Even at its lowest tier, the crawler is meant to be pretty tough, even requiring a capital-classed walker or several large ships. I'll refer to these small ones as the Go-Go. The devs insist on calling these mountain crawlers that, but to make the distinction between the tiers, I'm calling the small ones the Go-Go and the big one the mountain crawler. What's the difference? Well, the size for one. And the larger one is equipped with a bunch of guns for the Rupu to shoot you with. Defeating this one will be required to acquire one of the capital ships, the Titan Walker. While we're still on the subject of spire tiles, they've also reworked the Rupu tribes on the map in general, so every mob in the game has been reworked. With all that said, they clarified they'll be doing an overhaul of each biome like they have to the spires. To tease an example of this, they showed a new creature for the lava tiles. A lava frog lizard thing that jumps around, breathes fire, and blows itself up when it's near death. These little fellows are called Papak, but I don't know the pronunciation, but that. You'll find it hanging around lava pools, so be careful when you farm obsidian in Season 5. This will be one of the variations. There will be other variations with different behaviors and attacks, one of which is called the Mist Papak. which will reside in dark, damp areas, also known as a dank, where you can find mushrooms typically. As for the technical end, the AI system has been reworked from scratch essentially, supposedly being more stable, expandable, allowing for more efficiency when changing behaviors, mob attributes, and more. This rework involved their aggro system, being able to prioritize the threat and speed of a walker. Enemy mobs will maintain within range of siege weapons. They're meant to be tough but fun. This system is still kinda jank, but it's ready to be tested by real players in real situations. So, hopefully that means we get public testing soon. They've adjusted physics of various actors in the game, so now hopefully collision with Occam won't yeet us straight up to the shattered moon. Collisions and physics is going to be a huge part of the last Oasis overhaul, because all of the AI is heavily dependent on those physics involving those collisions with the walkers and whatnot. Something that wasn't covered in the devblog is the economy in general is going to be affected greatly. Resources and their value is going to change drastically, given that progression in tech acquisition is going to be dependent on that. With that in mind, also expect fewer trade stations. As to when that's going to be implemented, we don't know for sure. However, they do want to lessen the amount of trade stations and make it more of a centralized hub. So, fewer places for people to go do transactions, the more concentrated player bases will be, hopefully encouraging PvP. One of the concerns that was brought up in regards to this was that clans will put a barricade around the trade station of their tile. The devs are aware of this. They've already been looking into measures to take to prevent this for Season 5, so it's not something to be concerned about. They'll also have upgraded servers for Season 5, so hopefully that means better stability. They'll have tools to be able to adjust the performance on the fly now, and they're introducing a hibernation system for stations, walkers, weapons, whatnot. No one can say for certain how much that'll actually impact the performance of things, but it might have a good impact on the server or our own systems. We don't know, but there will be performance improvements. What are you most excited for in Season 5? Comment it down below. Join my Discord and talk about it there. Join me live on my Twitch every Saturday and Sunday when I'm playing Last Oasis. We can talk about things live there. Thank you for watching, and make the most of your day.